Right?
Non-religious books, you prop that up higher.
In the meantime, what would the not religious books do here? What? No. We'll make do. Okay, Shalom, B'ezras Hashem. Tonight, B'ezras Hashem, we'll talk about Pesach. Tonight is B'kas Chometz night. We have Erev Pesach, Shechal B'Shabbos, with all the, I can turn it over. Right. So now elevate it a little bit. There we go. Hold on just a second. Unbelievable. Where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah. So we have a Seder Pesach. I mean, what's a Shabbos? And it's a well advertised and known fact that during Yetzias Mitzrayim, in order to be able to get us out of Mitzrayim, because Baruch Hu had to come himself. Ani v'lo malach, ani v'lo saraf. Baruch Hu himself had to come down to Mitzrayim. Am Yisrael were in Mitzrayim on the 49th gate of Tumah, of defilement. So on the cusp of the 50th gate of Tumah, of defilement, and Chas v'Chalil, if they were to fall into it, they would have never come out of it. And that 50th gate of Tumah is heresy, apikorsis, the loss of emunah. So Arizal explains that it is during Seder Pesach, during that night, that we get like an onslaught, like a waterfall of moichin, of mental faculties, all of them. There are many different kinds. There's moichin de gadlus, moichin de katnus. There are few moichin de gadluses and few moichin de katnuses, whatever it is. And usually it takes a certain kind of order, how they come in and then you go out, and the whole. And on Seder Pesach, all the lights come down in one fell swoop. Now, it is at that point in time very much akin to pouring the Niagara Fall into a plastic cup. Nothing goes in. I mean, nothing goes in, but nothing is retained. Everything is comes in and then just being taken away completely. Immediately. The first day of Pesach, they come in, first day of Pesach, they go away. Then comes the sphere night. And sphere night, we make a bracha, sphere sa'omer. And then we're starting to get these moichin. I don't even know how to translate the word moichin. we're starting to get them step by step, little by little. Ches shebechesed, Gvor shebechesed, Tiferes shebechesed, Netzach shebechesed, Hod shebechesed. Then we finished, and we went 1 week, and then just try to screw like that. And then we get the second week, and we're counting day and another day, and a week and 2 weeks, all the way until we get to Shavuos. Shavuos, this is where we get the full light, get the term. But the point is that Reb Nosson explains that the Ilchas Giluach Halacha Gimel, and he says that he talks about in this particular Torah that the main tikkun of the Malchus is to extricate it from the Klipos, because the Malchus is the Malchus is the person's will, and the main thing is to take it away from the dominion of the Klipos. Because when I want things that the Goyim like, and it can be things that Jews like as well, but I look at it and I approach it from a point of view of Olam Hazeh. In Olam Hazeh, this world has the chitzonius and the pnimius, the outside and the content. Esav is the one that wants the chitzonius, he wants the outside. Yaakov is looking for the chokhmah, is looking for the inside. Now, you can't serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world without chitzonius, without eating, without money, without procreation. You can't do any of that. Can't do Yiddishkeit without any of those things. But the point is what it is that I want these things for. The Malchus is an expression of Ratzon. I want. What does it mean that the Melech says something that the Melech wants, and whatever the Melech wants goes? Now, when I want, let's say that I want food, okay? Everybody needs to eat. I need to eat, and a goy needs to eat. A goy eats because the food is good. Then you can make it even better. You know, it can be gourmet, it can be all kinds of stuff. A Jew is supposed to eat in order to get koyach to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It doesn't mean that you're not allowed to enjoy your food. It doesn't mean that. It just means that your kavana, your mahalach, basically you're eating, to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You eat the food, it's good food, lama. Same thing with money, same thing with every single thing. So, what happens when there is a Yetzer Hara for a person, and Yetzer Hara tells me to do various things because Baruch Hu doesn't want me to do? How do I serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with that? The answer is obviously, I force myself, Bezat Hashem, to do what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to do, and not to do what HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want me to do. Bezat Hashem. That's what I need to do. When I do that, I'm actually taking that will, my will, and I cut it off from the Goyim, from the Malchus of the Goyim, what they call the 4 kingdoms of the Goyim. Same thing, the Malchus is called Daled, the Echad. By the Goyim is also Daled Malchus, 4 Malchus. And he says, the union of Pesach and Isur Chometz and eating matzah. Because when they came out of Mitzrayim, Moshe Rabbeinu took Am Yisrael out of Mitzrayim, and he revealed to them the saga of Elokus. These are all the lights that come down. There's Ad Kedei Kach that they said that Kriyas Yamsuf, when they went through the sea, they said, Rosa Shifcha Alayam, a maiden servant, a simple maiden servant, during the crossing of the seas, she saw what Yechezkel ben Buzi, the greatest of all prophets, wasn't able to see. And everything was the Koch of Moshe Rabbeinu. It wasn't that the maiden servants in Mam Yisrael died, Baruch Hashem, highly good women, but they were not in the Madrega of big of Yechezkel enough. The way that they saw this, the way that they got it all, is to the Koch of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was the Tikkun of the Malchus. He showed them the Lakus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and because Pesach is the beginning of the Lakus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it's a revelation with a tremendous light. All the Moichin come. For that reason, Chometz is totally forbidden. What has one thing got to do with the other? Is because the Moichin themselves are actually in the matzah. Matzah is called machol de asva, so it's a food of health, of healing. And all the moichin, all the moichin are in the matzah. Nevertheless, what do we call it? Call it lechem oini, a food of poor people. Just, flour, water, that's it. There's nothing else. There's no air, there's no... Because the eating of chometz is, chometz in the eating of waiting, is the eating of thinking things over. And Reb Nosson says that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us these lights in Yetzias Mitzrayim with Moshe Rabbeinu, we had absolutely no kelim with which to retain any of it. It was Bechlal before Matan Torah. The only way that light would have done us any good, first of all, we could not get out of Mitzrayim if anything less than this light. Because Baruch had to totally overwhelm the tumor completely, not to get us out. So the minimum that we can do, is, it was a Chodesh Zelachem, of Rosh Chodesh, and it was the union of, Korban Pesach that they did in Mitzrayim. So it is the Korban Pesach, the 4 days, of tying the Shepsala to the bed for 4 days, to make sure that it doesn't have any mumim. Then eating Korban Pesach, matzos, and rorim yichlu.
They tied, this is Shabbos Gadol, they tied the sheep,
the
goat,
either goat or sheep
to the bed,
and
then he shechted it on
then shechted it 4 days later.
4 days later.
Yeah.
They sleep in the bed.
The goat was not in the bed.
Next to it.
Next to it. Okay, listen. I guess when you grow up on the farm, I don't think it's that big a deal.
That was their god, though.
What?
The goat was like the symbol of their gods or something, right?
No. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says the Korban Pesach says sel habayit means either a baby goat or a year-old, up to a year-old, a goat or a sheep, and this is Korban Pesach.
But those Egyptians, they worship the goats of the.
Right. Well, they worship the sheep, but it's very interesting because you can see in Paroi, when Amisrael came down to Mitzrayim, and he said to Yosef, bring a few of your brothers. He knew that they were shepherds. So he said, if you know that they are really, really go-getters, let them be shepherds on my flocks. So if the Egyptians were worshiping that, what flocks do you have? So what? No, it's not a goat. I think it's sheep more than goat. But I mean, a goat, say can be either this or that. But from what I understand, that mostly there were sheep. Apparently, I mean, the answer, I would assume so, is that what they worship was a 1-year-old sheep, probably. I don't know for sure. So, but that's the thing they're supposed to bring on Pesach. That thing which the Egyptians, if all sheep were holy to the Egyptians, how did they ever get, cotton or wool or whatever? It's like, what kind of they had? But the point is, I assume so, but the point is that this whole thing was taken so they can have some kind of kalim with which to receive the light. But what kind of kalim were they? Matzos Merim says that the only way, the only way that you can perceive it is by a lot of constrictions from a huge seichel, the Kodesh Baruch Hu himself, to tzimtzumim, to a lower seichel, like when you take a big seichel and explain it to a child. Okay, you can't just tell a child, his varizo, won't get it. Okay, so you have to, step it down so that, and constrict it. So you'll be able, the same thing is with us. You can only do it with tzimtzumim. And all the tzimtzum is prinas amuna. Is all amuna. The whole idea, that we simple people don't have any asaga in asaga salakus. What do we know? Our only hope forever is through Emunah. Even somebody who has a tremendous seichel, who knows Kabbalah and is a real Bilbao Madrega, even if he has, he knows Shas and Poskim and Kabbalah and Kisvariz and everything, as long as he did not purify himself from Zuamas HaNochosh, from the filth of the Nochosh, which is the reason why we came down to Mitzrayim, as long as a person has epis and negia, epis of touch with the nonsense of this world, he cannot get into Asagas Alakus, start understanding Kodesh Baruch Hu, because people can fall down and drop to unbelievable depths if they do that. It's only those tzaddikim that completely broken their body, they completely broken all the gashmis. They have nothing, not in the whiff. The many chaskos that they had, the tzaddikim, is emunah. Emunah is the name of the game. From beginning to end, the whole thing is emunah. Emunah is the malchus, which is supposed to get out of the. There's no way to get to any kind of madrega, to any kind of asaga, except through the emunah kedusha. And he says, in all the wars and all the nisyonis and trials, tribulations the person has, never is Hashem. It's not possible to win any battle without emunah kedusha. That's it. There's no. In Tokam, David Melech says, in Tokam al milchama, if there'll be a war upon me, Zois is the Malchus. Person has to be strong in the Muna. If a person is strong in the Muna, he can overcome everything. I remember years ago, many years ago, there was this guy who was somewhat religious, and they had on television, they had this symposium about human suffering. Well, I know, I just came like 5 minutes before I came into Yiddishkeit altogether. It's like so I watched that, and that religious guy said, he says there's no way to deny, he said, that the person with a Muna is a person, he has problems. Yes, it's there. He has to sort out, explain things to himself, whatever it is. So I remember I told Reb Simcha Balev about it, and he laughed. He says, a person that has emunah doesn't have problems. A person who's supposed to have emunah and doesn't have emunah, he's the one that has problems, and he has to explain things to himself. If he has emunah, he has no more problems anymore.
He doesn't see the difficult things in life as problems.
No, it's just the point is that if the emunah is just something you take for granted, because every yid has this nekuda of emunah, no matter where he is. But if you take it for granted, especially Baruch Hashem, Yeshem Shabbos, and you learn Torah, whatever it is, so it's very easy to take for granted. It's not something for granted. It's not something that you're working on. It's not something that you're cultivating. And the thing is, emunah is something you need to work on. You need to absolutely work on all the time. When a person has emunah, he's able to go to overtake all the fights and all the battles. And he says that every time that Am Yisrael, Yaakov Avinu gave it to his children, and he says that he gives the Bechina to his children. Shema Yisrael, he says, I want to tell him what happened to them. It's so they said Yaakov Avinu wanted to let his children know what's going to happen, when the Geulah is going to come. So the Shechina left him. So Rabbeinu saw that, okay, that's not a time, didn't come yet. He spoke about other things. But, so what did the Torah tell us? That Yaakov Avinu says, let me tell you what will happen to you, in the end of days. And oops, it didn't work. So why does the Torah tell us? Why did the Torah tell us that he told them, I'm going to tell you, and end up not telling them? Well, when you look how he says, I mean, the thing that will transpire over you in the end of days, the way it is supposed to be written, is Yud Kef Resh Kuf Resh Hey. That will happen to you. But the Chumash is written with an Aleph. It's Lashon Yikra that will call you, which will refer to you. Yaakov Avinu revealed to his children. Because Baruch Hu speaks to you with everything in your life. Because Baruch Hu will call you. Let me let you what because Baruch Hu will call you. All the days of the Golos, whatever happened in this world, because Baruch Hu is speaking to you. There's a reason to why everything that happens. There's a reason for everything, and the reason for everything is that Kadosh Baruch Hu wants you to come close to Him. This is the reason for everything. And if you need to be zeroed in to that particular nekuda, Kadosh Baruch Hu is calling you. Rabbeinu says in Torah Aleph, Ish Yisraeli, that's the basics of all Yiddishkeit, all Chassidus, everything. Ish Yisraeli always need to look at the Seichesh B'chol Dover, the Chochmah that exists and the wisdom that is in every single thing, because every single thing that exists is there for a reason, to call you, to teach you, to hint to you. I heard from a shir of Shimon Teichman, but that there was this Rosh Yeshiva, very big Rosh Yeshiva, Yisrael Zalman Meltzer. He was a Talmud of the Bris Karov, came to Israel, became Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshiva Etz Chaim. And he was a big Talmud Chacham and a big tzaddik, and it was a fabulous, a very, very pleasant person. The Malamdim used to bring the Talmidim to him to faher, to test them. Now the thing is that Talmidim loved being tested by him, because the test that he tested the Talmidim was never to find out what they knew. The kind of fahers that they get, a kind of test that he gave them, was always to show them that they knew. He always, be mechazik them that here you see that what did you know, whatever it is that you know, and you know, and you know, and you know. They were sitting and having a good time. One day, this was Rosh Chodesh, and he's sitting with the children and with the Melamed, and suddenly they hear from the kitchen, it was a tiny little apartment in Yerushalayim, the Rebbetzin says, "Oi, the milk spilt over." So this is our Meltzer became very serious. He says, told the Talmud, "Excuse me, I have to find out what happened." And he went to the kitchen and he spoke to the Rebbetzin. He didn't know what he speak to, whatever it is. It was a lively conversation. And then he and the Rebbetzin show up at the door. They're wearing their clothes. And they say, "Excuse us, please remain here, continue learning. We'll take a few minutes and we'll come back." They went away. They came back. We said, "Okay, let's continue learning." So the children were obviously very curious. What happened? Just the milk spilled and was it? They leave the house. What's going on here? So the children didn't say anything. But the Melamed said, we heard before, that the milk spilled. Can we help with anything? He didn't want to help with nothing. He just wanted to know what happened. He says, can we help in any way? So Meltzer said, "Let me tell you what happened. My wife told me, I heard that the milk spilled in my kitchen, boiled over. I said to myself, it can't be that the milk in my house will just spill over. There's a reason what happened. What did we do wrong so that milk will spill over in my wife's kitchen?" So he went to his wife and he asked her, "This is what happened. Maybe you moved a flashing pot over the milchik one, or milchik one over the flashing one, whatever it is, was flashing milchik, nothing happened. So what could it be? What could it be? It can't be that stam, the milk will spill over." So he says, "What day is today?" It's Rosh Chodesh. Well, it so happens that milk, I don't know, those of us remember, milk used to be delivered by milkmen. It used to be that in the olden days, or before my days, it was bring with jugs. But later on, when I was a kid, they brought it in bottles, and the milkman will go up, to whatever it is, will leave the bottles of milk, as many bottles of milk, the empty ones he took away, the filled one he brought back, and all the kids love to take the butter from the top of the bottle of the milk, okay. Anyhow, so this milkman brought milk. And every Rosh Chodesh, he would come, take the payments, whatever it is that. Now, he brought the milk for decades, and as so happens to some people, when they get old, they get a bit weak, and he couldn't do it anymore. Now, it wasn't like today. You have pensions, you have kitzvat zikna, you have this. It didn't exist yet. So if somebody didn't have work, didn't have what to eat. So the milkman, Friday nights, he was very well known. All his customers, decades. So what he did was that every day he would go out and to a few of his old customers, I would ask them for tzedakah. I don't know, 2, 3, 4 people, whatever it is. You'll have money for that day to eat, and he would eat. Next day, the next 2, 3, 4 people, whatever it is. Now, Rabbi Issa Zalman mentioned, maybe because his name was Issa Zalman, starts with an Aleph. I don't know, maybe because it was Shiva. Because his time was Rosh Chodesh. Every Rosh Chodesh, the milkman would come over and knock on the door. They open the door. They have a few pennies for tzedakah. Rebbetzin would give him. So Rav Meltzer said to his Rebbetzin, he says, today's Rosh Chodesh. I spent time in shul. Were you home? Did you see the milkman? Did he come today? So the wife said when she had to go to the Makolet, whatever it is, she didn't see. She wasn't home. She didn't see it. Says maybe he came. They live on the second floor. Maybe he came and we weren't home. So they came to put in the coats. They went to they knock on the door of the milkman. He opens up the door. Says Meltzer and his wife, the Rebbetzin, and they said, "Did you come to us today?" She says, "Yeah, he went. He knocked on the door. Nobody answered the door." So started apologizing, and please forgive us. And your matriarch, he went up 2 floors, whatever it is, and he begged him. He tells him, "You're allowed not to be at home. It's not an favor not to be at home. It's like, please, But they were distraught. How, whatever. It's himself. He says, okay. So he said, forgive me. Okay, so mocholach. He gave him the tzedakah. They gave him more. So it'd be more. And they went home. So he told the Talmidim, everything that happens to a person happens for a reason. Because Baruch Hu calls, he speaks to you all the time with everything. But the light, as Rabbeinu says, because Baruch Hu is huge. It's like looking at the sun. You don't have kelim for that. You have to build it with what? With the Munah. Rabbeinu says to Aleph, you have to believe there's a seichel and a reason in everything that happens. Everything goes around the world. When I get upset, when I get this, when I give it, or I get happy in Olam Hazeh, it means that I'm separating the Malchus from Kodesh Baruch Hu Chas v'Chalila. The idea is to separate the Malchus from the Goyim, to take it out. Rabbeinu says, in Torah Dalet, when a person is able to do that, when a person is able to do that, that by him, his mitzias becomes like Olam Haba. Because he's giving thanks for whatever happens to him. This Indian knows, so here comes, we're in Mitzrayim, comes time to take us out. The way to take us out is with a huge light, in order to totally subdue the klipos, so they can let us go. Ad kedei kach that for a short while, they said, "Bevakasha, just go and please borrow money and gold and silver. Just go ahead, It's a kind of, means the Klippas were totally subdued. I'm sure it was counter time. Didn't last that long. You know, the Egyptians are 3 days. Oh, what the heck did we do? You know, we lost all these slaves. You know, they're chasing them, which is the thing that. But the main thing that is working on is in of Emunah through Chochmas, to trying to understand things and to figure out things. There's no way you can get a Kodesh Baruch. Doesn't work. However, verkehrt. The more people think, the more verblongen they become. Once you have Emunah, you go forward with Emunah, afterwards comes Das. But the Das has to come after the Emunah. You have to clear afterwards. So he says, "V'zeh b'chinos matzah ki b'Pesach nizgala or godel b'Yosef." Pesach is a tremendous light. V'zeh or, and this light, yefshar la'asiga b'shum ofen. It's untenable in any way, shape, or form. Especially before Matan Torah, we don't have any kalim. We don't have mitzvahs. We don't have, because all the kalim, all the shiurim, tzimtzumim, the thing with which you step down the great light, is only be made through the Torah. Shu and the Asvan Doraisa. That's why in Pesach was the very beginning of the revelation of the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Dafka in that particular time to be very, very careful with any kind of chometz. Lo yiroeh v'lo yimotzes over chometz, because chometz is deliberation. Wait, let me think it over. When you're getting out of Mitzrayim, there's no deliberation. There's no waiting. Chometz is chimut samayach. You're waiting, thinking about it. There's no time for that. As David HaMelech said, on all the chakiris, all the chochmes, chas v'sholem, there's kis chometz levavi. David HaMelech said, that my heart becomes chometz. All the chakiris, all the chochmes, all the chakiris in the world want to get a person away from olam hazeh and from olam haba. So I told you I have this friend, to whom I'm very fond of and very good. And I told you that I'm not in any, can't continue having relationships with him. And his opinion is that he thinks that he understands. He thinks that he knows. On the other hand, I have another friend, a young guy, speaks to me today and he says, I'm totally crazy. I have these thoughts and I have that thought. And, it's just like, totally, I don't understand what's going on. So I told him, so you're normal. Okay. Being crazy is thinking that you're normal. If you realize that you're crazy, then you're normal. But if you think, I learned, I can figure it out. Because Baruch Hu gave me brain. Apparently he wants me to use it, whatever. Okay. What's it called? A road to perdition, right? That's the way that's what they call it. He says a person needs to get out of Mitzrayim with great haste. Kigoshu in Mitzrayim, they were chased out of Mitzrayim, they could not wait. This Inyan, says the Noson, exists in every single person, every single time. Every one of us, as long as he is in this world, in the tivus of this world, each one according to his own madrega. This is Galus Mitzrayim. There are certain people that are deep in Galus Mitzrayim, in the filth of Chatoim, in Averis, Hashem Yirachem. And because a person is very deep in abominations, lack of another word, there's no way to get the person out with any kind of teichach, any kind of admonishment, any kind of mussar. It won't work. I thought with that friend of mine, maybe I'll be able to talk to him and this, because he actually told me, he says, maybe I should stop being insane. I said, you can't stop being insane. The only thing you can do is listen to somebody who's normal and follow whatever that person is telling you. This is Munus Tzadikim. No, I'm not being offensive. Okay. How dare I, inflict inflect that maybe you don't have what it takes, to figure things out. Because it's not possible to talk a person out of these mires, because a person is tied in shtuyot. The thing is that whenever it is that we do, whatever it is that we act, whatever it is that we engage in, it creates for us an inner world, a universe. And in this universe, there's a right and there's a left. There's a wrong and there's a right. There is too much, there's too little. Each one according to his own. And when a person gets tied in with the nonsense of Olam Hazeh, it creates this kind of a universe. When a person gets out of that, it creates a different kind of universe. The Inyan of Yetzias Mitzrayim, he says that a person needs to run out of his taivas, needs to run out of all, and not look back. Not look back. I should run. He says, it's like, he said, yeah, but what is going to be parnasa? What's going to be with it? Just run. If there was a fire, would you think about, yeah, what about parnasa? What about it? You'd run. Just run. This is Pesach. Pesach was a great light from above that the illumination was, we are steeped in Golos Mitzrayim. We have to get up and run. Can't think about Parnasa, can't think about this, what's going to be, how it's going to be. The men ate so to get out of the fire when the house is burning, when a person is in a verse, it means the house is burning. Cannot wait. Just get up and leave. First of all, just get up and leave. Afterwards, once you're out of the house, then you make a chesed, you do this, you do that. That's fierce omer. That's already taking one step at a time. The main thing is that the biggest present that we get in Seder night, Pesach Bechlal, Seder night, Bifrat, we get all those lights, but what these lights are doing, we are not retaining any of this. Try to speak to somebody, what, how did you like the lights last night? I don't know, talking about lights. I eat matzah and drink wine, I don't know, talking about lights. We're talking about an illumination that is beyond our perception, but it's not totally unknown to us. We read the Haggadah and we invoke all these, and we evoke all these ha'oras, all these lights, but in a way of we refer to them, we infer to them. We don't see those lights. We are actually pointing out a revelation of something which is a lot bigger than us. Because Baruch Hu took us out of Mitzrayim. The gift that we get, so the Pesach, is we get ourselves. I am a somebody that counts. I count. I'm important. Because Baruch Hu created the whole world until Pesach. They used to say we referred to Kodesh Baruch Hu, the Emunah existed. I mean, people believe in Kodesh Baruch Hu before Yetzias Mitzrayim. But the referral was always Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world. Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world in 7 days and so forth and so on. But that's a very general statement. We created the entire world. We created the world for you, created for the cats in the street, created the world for the eagles in the sky, created, for the Eden, for the God. Create the whole world, a package deal. In Yetzias Mitzrayim, it's within this world that includes all these unbelievable creations. Because Baruch Hu comes down himself and picks you out. And that's a whole different kind of ballgame. Same Kodesh Baruch Hu that created the world, that created Shabbos, created everything, comes down, taps you on the shoulder. He says, come. You count. I want to say by the Seder, and I want you, to eat Korban Pesach when there's a Beis HaMikdash, matzahs, merorim, all the mitzvahs, the Raisa, the Rabbanon. HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and picks you out. The Gemara, I think Pessach Bracha says, why do we read the Pasha of Shema Yisrael before the Pasha of Vayayim Shamoah? What was the reason for the order? The Gemara says, so first of all, a person needs to accept upon himself all Malchus Shemayim, the yoke of the kingdom of heaven. And then is supposed to accept all mitzvahs, the yoke of mitzvahs. So, but when you look at it, it seems to be superfluous. If you already accepted the yoke of the king, that means that you are already obligated to do whatever he says. So what are we adding when we're mekabel all mitzvahs? We already accepted whatever Kodesh Baruch Hu says goes. So he says, do the mitzvahs. Means I already accepted the mitzvahs. What is the acceptance of the old mitzvahs that comes after Kabbalah's Malchus Shemayim? Good question. Yeah. The answer is, all Malchus Shemayim, Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world, he's the king, whatever he says goes. All mitzvahs means me. The mitzvahs that he says, he wants me to do those mitzvahs. I'm the one he picked to do those mitzvahs. He's talking about me. The Ol Malchus Shemayim is Emunah Kodesh Baruch Hu. The old mitzvahs is a belief in myself, in my own kedusha, on kedusha Yisrael. I'm a somebody, and what do I give over? I sit there on Seder night, and I tell the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim. Because Baruch Hu took us out of Mitzrayim. He did tremendous miracles. Because in Mitzrayim, the Ramban says, I think the Ramban, the Ritva, I'm not sure, the Rashba, he says that in Mitzrayim there were 10 versions of 10 philosophies on why the world was created, why the world exists and whatever. For each one, Kodesh Baruch Hu gave him one, smitten them with one plague. Damas can get one philosophy, and Tzadez and another one, and so forth and so on. Why did the Kodesh Baruch Hu have to beat Mitzrayim with 10 makas? Lev Mlochem v'Sorim b'Yad Hashem. Kodesh Baruch Hu just can put a thought in the head of Paro. Hey, Jews, out. Finished. You have to go through the whole thing with the makas, with the dam, with Shvateya, with the beginning, all of this. Why? It wasn't for the mitzvah. It was for us. So we should see. We should see these revelations. You should believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Come Seder night. We're going to tell it to our children. How do I know to tell my children that we can't have Mitzrayim and all this happened? How do I know? Not because it's written in the Haggadah. I know because my father told me. No, I said, how did my father know? Because his father told him. Okay. How did his father know? Because his father told him. All the way back to Mitzrayim. Now, I have a neighbor. You don't know him. The name is Rav Moshe. Very choshev. He sits there and he tells his son about Yetzias Mitzrayim. He didn't hear it from my father. How does he know? Because he heard it from his father. We heard it from his father. Then we have another neighbor, 2 floors up, of Polishuk. He also told me. He didn't hear from my father or from Moshe's father. How does he know? Because he heard from his father. Now you have to understand what's going on here. In order to put a suffix in the veracity, in the truth of Yetzias Mitzrayim, because Baruch Hu came and picked us and told us specifically, you count, it would have required all the fathers in one time to come to a conspiracy, to a decision, you know, something from now on, today, we're going to fool all our children. We're going to really pull the wool over their eyes. We're going to tell them we can have to try the whole thing. We're going to hold them. We're going to do a ganze Meise, we're going to tell them. It started out, as it were, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's just all the fathers had together. It's nonsense. When did the mitzvahs Mitzrayim start? The first year they came out of Mitzrayim. They came out. The father sits down with his son. Tell him says Mitzrayim. He says, Tati, what are you talking about? We were there. What are you telling me? I was together with you. Yeah. I'm going to tell you You're supposed to tell your children. They tell their children. They'll tell their children. You know, Muna. And in order to be able to get it, it has to be pure Emunah. Sechel starts afterwards. You're sitting there with the matzah, with the wine, the mar, the whole thing. Matzah is deraisa, everything else is derabbanan. The main thing is Pchinas Emunah. And you need to know that when you sit there, it's a Shabbos, and you're doing the Seder, all the lights and all the moich and all the thing, it's no surprise that we cannot actually capture any of it. It's beyond us. But the fact itself that the lights are there is not beyond us. And as the Gemara says, Afagav the Iol, even though that he doesn't see it, Mazli Chaze, his muzzle sees it. There are much higher levels of consciousness, way beyond what it is that I can recognize. Let's see it. The only thing, the imprint is, you have to understand. They said, Yetzias Mitzrayim is the beginning of everything. This is how we started being a nation. Every nation, every person goes through an imprint, we call it a culture code. The person gets like, you can tell a child 1,000 times, not to touch a hot pan. But when he actually touches a hot pan, he knows not to touch a hot pan. He knows it returns. It doesn't have to be reminded. It doesn't have to happen. Why? Because the information came with a huge imprint of emotion. By the way, they say that, some say that the problem that autistic people have in learning is they miss that nikuda of emotion when they learn. It's like, okay. So there's no imprint. Every nation has an imprint. And that happens in the very, very beginning. And you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Yitzias Mitzrayim, the Seder night, is the imprint of Klal Yisrael. Afterwards, they can tell us stories. They can lead us, mislead us. They can do whatever it is they want. The main thing is just sit there and say the Haggadah, the way the Chazal said it. And if possible, say the Kol Godel, unless you're a guest by somebody who doesn't let you say it loud. When it says the Kol Godel, this is Tikkun Abris. This, just saying. Tremendous inyanim. But the main thing is that when we do this, when we sit there and we read the Haggadah and we do the mitzvahs of the night, first of all, you should know, the one mitzvah, matzah, which is doraisa, the first night, but there is a mitzvah doraisa, throughout the Chag, is that you're supposed to be happy. So you're supposed to smile. A smile should never leave your lips throughout Yom Tov. Don't get upset with anybody. No time to, call anybody to the mat. But the main thing is, kol mitzvosecha emuno. And what that does is, Rabbeinu says in Torah Beis, Torah Dal, Torah Aleph, the Yom Tovim, it's in Torah Aleph that we just finished last week, says the Chag Pesach, when we're doing Chag Pesach, it's Sgula in order to eradicate us and get us out of our bondage of Taivas moment. But in Torah Dalet Chelek, Rabbeinu says that the Yom Tovim, what they do is the Mikra Kodesh. They call out Kodesh. They call out the fact that the Kodesh Baruch Hu is the one who runs the show. They call out, so that brings Yira, and the Yira, once you have Yira, you are able to get Shefa, to get the Ches of the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Otherwise, it becomes too much. Again, so another Seichel, another Prat, another Nikuda. The main thing is Kol Mitzvosecha Emunah. We're going to have Bezat Hashem, we say the night. We're going to drink the Abakoises. We're going to eat the matzah. We're going to eat more. The children are going to ask the kashes. We're going to read the Haggadah. We're going to say Hallel. Imprinting on ourselves again this union of the greatness, the Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Gnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the way it comes to us with the tzaddikim, without any chometz, without any chochmas, without any, being an oiber chochem. Shum davar. That's the mitzvah. That's what we do. You sit down, you tell to your children, like the first year they came out of Mitzrayim, father telling us, what are you talking about? We both were there. I came out with them too. You don't tell me. I know. No, we tell it. We tell it weiter. It's faithfulness. It's of ne'emonos. Emunah, the lashon ne'emonos, of faithfulness. Bezat Hashem, once you have the emunah, then you can put the das into it. That starts already the day after. Bezat Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu should save us from any kind of chometz, any kind of overthinking. Just get up and run. Just run. Get out of each one according whatever it is he needs to get out of. And Bezat Hashem, we'll be zoicha to see Mashiach Tzidkenu Bezat Hashem soon in our days. And Baruch Hashem, it's us. We are the one that came out of Mitzrayim. We are the one who's continuously coming out of Mitzrayim. Day by day by day. Generation after generation. But Hashem, next week, we're starting Torah Daled Chelik Sheni. For tomorrow. Huh? Was is was? What time? When is just a second. What time is Yom Tov? When is second day Yom Tov?
Think Shabbat.
Okay, so what's week?
Great.
Thursday night.
Okay.
Without Hashem.
What time?
8 o'clock.
8.
Hmm?
Return to 8.
Yeah. Just today was 9 because of yeah. Okay.